Hello, this is Heidi Holycross-Lui, and today we're going to be discussing Unit 11, and we're going to talk about the differences between using present perfect and the simple past. Alright, so let's start with an overview of the entire unit. So I have three big categories that there are differences between the present perfect and the simple past. So for statements that use the word for, these statements in the present perfect began in the past and they continue into the future. For the statements with for in the simple past, the events began and ended in the past. For present perfect, statements don't express a specific time, but for the past, they do express a specific time. And for the present perfect, things that have already been finished happen in the simple past, so you use the simple past to express things that happened in a time period that's finished. If the time period is not finished, you will use the present perfect. We'll talk more about this in detail. I know that's a lot of information, but it'll be more effective and clear by the end. Alright, so let's go ahead and look at two specific sentences. Maria has lived in Boston for 3 years. Maria lived in Detroit for 3 years. Which of these sentences describes something that has no connection with the present? Go ahead and pause while you try to figure it out. The second sentence has no connection with the present. It's completely finished. So which tense does the second sentence use? It uses the simple past, right? Maria lived. Which sentence describes something that continues up to the present? Go ahead and pause so you can figure it out. The first sentence discusses something that continues up into the present. Which tense does this example use? If you said that the sentence is in the present perfect, great job. You got it exactly correct. So if you look at both of the sentences, which sentence explains where Maria lives right now? Go ahead and pause while you figure it out. The first sentence that's in the present perfect tells us where she lived. So right now, she's living in Boston, according to these sentences. So let's look at two more examples. They've found new jobs. They changed jobs in 2010. Which example describes something that happened at a specific time in the past? The second sentence describes something at a specific time in the past because it uses the time phrase in 2010. Let's look more carefully at that sentence. What tense does that sentence use? It's in the simple past, right? So if you want something specific, you use the simple past. Which example describes something that happened at an unspecified time in the past? The first sentence describes something that happened at an unspecified time. Which tense does it use? The first sentence is in the present perfect. So let's look at them carefully. Which example do you think focuses both on what happened and when it happened? Go ahead and pause and try to figure out which sentence that is. The second sentence explains both what happened and when it happened. We know when it happened because it includes the time phrase in 2010. Which example focuses only on what happened? The first example in the present perfect is only what happened because it doesn't explain when the event happened, right? It just tells us that they found new jobs. That could have happened yesterday. It could have happened 3 years ago. So we know what happened, but we don't know when it happened. Let's look at another couple of examples. This month, they've seen each other twice. Last month, they saw each other once. Which example expresses what happened in a time period that is finished? Go ahead and pause and figure it out. The second example shows that, right? It says last month. Last month is finished. Which tense is used in that sentence? Last month they saw each other once. We use the simple past, right? Last month they saw each other twice. Which one expresses something that has happened in a time period that is not finished? Go ahead and pause so you can figure it out. Alright, so the first one is used in a time period that is not finished. This month is not over. So which tense does it use? It uses the present perfect, right? Because it's not completely finished. So you have to use a tense that shows that the action is not finished. It's possible that they could see each other another time. So you can't say that it's finished. Let's look at a timeline. This is my life, right? From the 1980s to the 1990s, I attended school. In 2000s, I attended college, and in 2007, I lived in Colorado. So let's look at the sentences. I attended school in 1997. I have lived in Colorado. I attended college in 2003. Here is a quick review. Present perfect focuses on what happened. The simple past focuses on both what happened and when it happened. So if I have a sentence like, I attended school in 1997, I am talking about both what happened and when it happened. If I just say, I have lived in Colorado, I'm not focusing on when I lived in Colorado. Let's look at another example. Today I have received 20 emails. Yesterday I received 15 emails. Today is not finished, right? So I have to use the present perfect. I will probably receive more emails, but yesterday is completely over, so I can't receive more emails, so I use the simple past here. Let's look at some time expressions. So time expressions that talk about a time that's completely finished are words like last week, yesterday, last year, 10 years ago, in 2008, and this morning if it's afternoon. These words you would use with the simple past tense. Unfinished time would be words like today, this month, this week, and this morning if it's still morning. This afternoon works the same way. So if it's evening or night, then you use the simple past. If it is still in the afternoon, you would still use the present perfect. This is Heidi Holycross-Lui again, and I hope that you have enjoyed watching the video and that you feel more confident using present perfect and the simple past, and that you can tell the difference of when you use both of those.